what exactly is Uber accused of doing here?
So they're using this program, which they terribly, unstrategically named Hell, to just like idiots. I think they would say that now. You know, to sort of examine the Lyft app and sort of see where drivers are and potentially figure out what drivers they could then recruit to be Uber drivers instead.
So how did they do that?
Yeah, it's sort of complicated. I mean, I think it's a bit of software scraping sort of the Lyft app to try and like through technology understand sort of all this free information that Lyft was probably unintentionally giving away that Uber figured out, okay, we shouldn't show it in our app so they can't get it, but use that information to then sort of have a leg up over the competitor.
Well, and it raises a very interesting question about these services in general, because this kind of data scraping theoretically could happen lots of places, right?
Is it even illegal?
Well, it's a question of, you know, terms of service, as Eric mentioned. I mean, there's a number of things that could potentially be very dicey, you know, from a legal perspective. And it does raise the question of, does this sort of thing need to be monitored more closely? Does there need to be some kind of actual legal control over that? I mean, are there certain things that need to be prevented? Because once all these data services start getting out there, this is exactly what could happen in a lot of other areas. Uber got caught first, and they were clearly very aggressive about this, as
on
they
the
have
cutting edge of competition. I think definitely
that's a good way of
fair.
putting it. But you know, fundamentally, it's, you know, this is reflective of what Uber has been, or had been, perhaps we shall see. But again, the bigger question in my mind is, how does this get played out in other places and other industries?
Yeah.
Right. So, and what could the consequences be here?
Well, we know the FBI is investigating.
Right.
So that is not a group of people that I think companies want to be investigated by. But I mean, I don't think we know the exact statute that they could be accused of, or what the consequences are. Right now, we know there's this inquiry, and that's where things stand.
And of course, this isn't the only thing that Uber has potentially done wrong. We've also got the gray ball campaign, which authorities are also looking into, right?
So gray ball was another sort of crafty software trick. That was, if I'm a law enforcement official, Uber would basically try and figure out, okay, you seem to work for the government. We want to make it hard for you to chase down our drivers in areas where we might not be allowed to operate. And while you wouldn't know your app is different than me, Joe Consumer, it would be, and so it'd be harder for you to find sort of scofflaw Uber drivers.
It's kind of like back to that God mode, like they could track where certain celebrities were because they'd see who was calling up an Uber. I mean, it all goes back to having that control over a lot of data that people don't recognize has a lot of underlying value, so to speak.